So that one got some laughs from me. Shout out to some of the editorial timing. There were some pretty good, like, abrupt cuts that got some pretty effective laughs. Another strength that I noticed was, I think you flagged some of the handheld. I thought that chase sequence on handheld was working really well. That was really nice. On the other side of the camera work, something to keep in mind for the next project is leveling the horizon and paying attention to some of that composition and being a little mindful of depth of field. Depends on what you're shooting with, obviously. They're all different, but the depth of field is pretty deep here, so you weren't kind of focusing on subjects. And another thing that might help some of the compositions is getting a little closer on your over-the-shoulder shots, focusing on each person with your coverage versus such wide 3 shots the whole time. I thought the titles could use some clarity. As you're watching a film, a lot of times if you're paying attention to where your eye goes on frame, if you notice that your eye drifts to a certain spot abruptly, that's usually something that might interrupt the viewer's experience. So typically that's why titles would be in the middle of the screen, is so that it's a little more fluid. So that's something to keep in mind going forward. But yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought the acting was pretty funny at certain times. I was enjoying the like high school dynamic of the fight. The dude with long hair was coming off as a pretty funny, cheeky, slightly bullying but friendly guy. Let's see what else. I think some of the dialogue was probably a bit long. And another piece of constructive feedback I would give is that the progression of their argument didn't go anywhere. Like you could have a staging of what they were saying to each other. The argument that the test was wrong came up initially, and then it happened 3 times. But if you could find a way to escalate those arguments until it led to the fight, I think that would help motivate those characters a little better. But yeah, nice work.
Some of the things I liked about this one, there was a zoom out that you did in the beginning that I particularly liked. I watched it last night and I rewatched that part, so I was like, oh, that's really cool how they would do that, because it seemed like you went really far back but were still able to keep your subject in focus, which was pretty nice. I completely agree with the shakiness and the chasing scenes. That was spot on, exactly what I would expect for a chasing scene. You had a bunch of parts where the camera was static, and that was also appropriate. So it seems like you have a pretty good balance on when handheld is good. I didn't mean that. I meant like when handheld is more appropriate as opposed to when you use a tripod. And that's pretty hard to digest for some people, so that's pretty cool that you're already on that. I agree with the placement of the text, how it could be placed differently. It makes sense, like, when I see it, people read left or right, but in this instance, it does make sense that it would be in the center, and but it was really effective to give me a sense of time passing, so I was able to see it and know, okay, for sure time has passed. Now, maybe the argument is different, or there's a progression in the story. And the sound effects, when we were inside the robot's head right before they stuck the fork into the outlet, that was fantastic, because it really gives you a good representation of the robot's warped perception and how it puts you in that frame of mind too. And then they do the kind of scary thing. It's like literally shocking. It's like, oh, they're about to go do that. Like, we know as the viewer, you're not supposed to do that. So they created some type of like internal which is good. And the resolution was really good. Some things I would focus on is the autofocus is not helping. I notice you do a lot of panning, which is really, really nice. And then sometimes you'll walk around the subject, but maybe figure out a way to do manual focus. If you can get a focus puller, or I don't know the extent of the equipment you have access to, but if you're even able to get like a shoulder rig, or and then have like a little focus puller, which is like something you attach to the camera where you can turn a dial, and that will focus for you. So that way you can keep your focus on the subject the entire time, rather than the internal system saying focus here, focus here, focus here. Like, it's constantly changing, and it's noticeable throughout the film. And then it's kind of same with with the other videos, good. There should be some focus on the audio levels, but yeah, and then maybe some more use of sound effects. There was the gas can, and it was slapped, but when you slapped it, it sounded like an empty can. I would have just scooped out the audio and then put like a jug of water getting slapped, or something to tell me more of like, oh, it's just a prop. Yeah, so there we go.
I did want to say one more positive thing. The electrocution was done really well. They were saying that was the first time they tried that, and the roto was pretty impressive, especially for a first attempt, so way to go.